Hey everybody, video here for you today. I guess this would be my third one of the day. I started putting this together on Sunday, found a few. We're going to talk about 5 ancient news stories. I believe this is my 11th ancient history news video. We're going to go down to Angkor Wat for the first story today. I haven't talked about Angkor Wat for a long time. Here it is right down here, perfectly aligned. It's on a special alignment that goes around the world. It's aligned with Giza, Nazca, Easter Island, a few other places. There's been a lot of finds made at Angkor Wat over the last decade. There was a find made here recently, but this seems to be a place where newer things are built on top of older things, that is for sure. This is dated a few days ago. I will leave all these links below, but it says Buddhist statues unearthed at Angkor Wat. And here's a look at the excavation and the finds here. It says more than 100 remnants of Buddhist statues were uncovered by archaeological experts at Angkor Wat. It says these artifacts were found with other debris and they might have been intentionally buried as recently as 50 years ago. And I guess some objects here are intentionally buried so they don't get found by people that may want to loot it, I guess, is the deal here. It says experts think that other fragments or other statues might be buried a little deeper. And they kind of stress the importance of excavating here. And they say they have found 40 cemeteries in the nearby area. Let's move on. Next story, let's go to Germany. This is very, very ancient history right down here. This is Schoningen. I think that's how you pronounce it. Pronunciation is not a strong point. Right down here in Deutschland is where a discovery was made. Not sure where, maybe up in this hillier area here, but let's just read. Well, what was found down here? This is one of the latest articles, Heritage Daily. 300,000-year-old throwing stick documents the evolution of hunting. Here it says new throwing stick in situ at time of discovery. There is this 300,000-year-old artifact they are saying here. Here's that artifact again, and I will leave this link below if you want to check out more details on the story here. It says research at Schoningen demonstrates that already 300,000 years ago, Homo heidelbergensis, why do I always have those words, used a combination of throwing sticks, spears, and thrusting lances. Professor Nicholas Conrad and Jordi Sangarelli, who lead the research team, attribute the exceptional discovery to outstanding preservation of wooden artifacts in the water-saturated lakeside sediments in Schoningen. And here is that artifact. Once again, preserved. They say it's 300,000 years old. That's certainly old. Let's move on. Next story. Let's go down to Norway. And I'm not sure of the exact area, but right down here some way, discovery. Pretty cool. I'm not sure exactly where this find was made. I'm assuming somewhere in this area, Lomsegi Ridge. I'm only going to try to pronounce that once. But discovery was made over 6,300 feet in elevation. Let's just read. Here's the story. Melting ice exposes mountain pass used by Vikings, including ancient dog and leash. Here is the area where some people made some discoveries. It says archaeologists in central Norway have uncovered evidence of a heavily traveled mountain passageway that was used during the Viking Age. Hundreds of beautifully preserved items were found atop a melting glacier in a discovery that was sadly made possible by global warming. And I think there are many stages to the warming and cooling of the earth, and there's no one set normalcy if you go back thousands of years in history. And I will state that most of the times when global warming is mentioned. It says new research published today in Antiquity describes a forgotten mountain pass at Lindbreem, Norway, and that's a little better description of the location, I guess. It says that was used from the Iron Age through the European medieval period. Located on Lomsegen Ridge, the passageway is absolutely littered with well-preserved artifacts, including mittens, shoes, snowshoes, bits of sleds, and even the remains of a dog and a leash. Radiocarbon dating of these artifacts is painting a picture of how and when this pivotal mountain pass was used and its importance to both local and outside communities. says the hundreds of items found were either dropped accidentally or intentionally as people made their way across the mountain. These items, some made from organic material, became locked in the glacial ice, and that was about 500 years ago. It says preserving a record of use that spans 1,200 years. That's pretty interesting, but these artifacts date back maybe some 2,500 years. Next story, we're going down to northern Israel. I'm not sure the exact location, but a discovery was made down here. Goes back to 12,000 BC, 14,000 years ago. Why don't we just read? Here's a story. This came out yesterday. Human figure detected on 14,000-year-old burial slab in Israel. And this is about the mysterious Natufians, who I mentioned in my Jordan Desert Ruin mystery video. But it says the Natufians were the first to bury their dead in cemeteries, albeit in shallow graves, and mysterious slabs were placed in and above some graves. One found in a cave was pretty mysterious. We'll go look at that. 12,000 BC, these artifacts are coming from. Also a stick figure on the wall. What does that depict? We'll look at that in a second, but here's the cave and some of the artifacts found here. Here's the remnants of a grave coming from these mysterious people 14,000 years ago. And then they lasted for a few thousand years. They might have been taken out by the Younger Dryas cataclysm. Here's just a few more looks from the site here. Evidence of a grave. Here's a rock carving on the left coming from 10, 12,000 BC, 12, 14,000 years ago. You can barely make it out. On the right is a diagram of it. Do you remember the posture I told you about my Oregon petroglyph video from earlier? Is that the posture of Orion? I think it might be. Final story, let's go down to Loganton, Pennsylvania. It's right down here. I don't think I've talked about Pennsylvania since my Meadowcroft rock shelter video. Maybe some of you live in the nearby area here. Notice there's a river down here, but let's read a news story that came out recently. This comes from northcentralpa.com, and it says Mound Builder Mystery in Loganton, an important discovery. This story is well over a month old. Here is some of the artifacts found here. They think this comes from about 2,800 years ago, but this is a story I wanted to include in one of my older ancient history news videos. I was already talking about the mound builders in one of those. So it says artifacts are from the Adena culture, the first long-distance North American traders. Beginning in about 800 BC, they survived as an important culture set apart from early woodlands people while building incredible mounds and earthworks in their homeland of south-central Ohio. Often referred to as Egyptian-like because of their cultures trading for exotic materials across a prehistoric landscape and burying them with important dead in conical burial mounds. They traveled and traded for copper, freshwater pearls, gypsum, exotic flint and stone. So add Loganton, Pennsylvania, as a place where the Adena people once existed. If you have more details on that site, please let me know. But that is my ancient history news video, the 11th one I've done. Some different periods of history, some going way back, some ancient American news, some other stuff. Happy 420 to everybody. Hope you thought that was interesting. Hope everybody's doing good. And you all have a very safe day.